everybody, how you doing? It's another Wednesday. That means I'm about to introduce you to another iconic woman because it's Iconic Wednesday. So today we're going to meet a beauty queen. She has been in the media industry for 25 years, guys. 25. She is a yogi, she's a thought leader, she's very passionate about motherhood, about women, about the youth, about mental health. And we're going to be talking about all of that. So let's go.
So, welcome to my home. Should we sit in the garden?
Yes. You are definitely an icon in your own right.
Thank you.
25 years in this scene, I'm in awe of you. I'm not even.
Otherwise
You don't
they'll
even
know
look.
my age.
You don't even look it, but you started at a very young age.
I started modeling when I was 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I got into media. And, you know, just, I was on KBC.
Yeah. Wait, I started there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a bit of radio on KBC. Can you imagine?
English service?
Yeah.
What show?
So on a Wednesday evening,
Yes.
there was a friend of mine who bought an hour and we did an Indian show.
KBC English service had an
Indian show for 1 hour on a Wednesday evening. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Here's a secret.
Okay.
My grandmother, my mom's mom, was a radio presenter on KBC, on VOK in those days. And she used to do an Indian show with a gentleman called Alauddin Qureshi, who's still a radio presenter on an Indian channel here.
Let's go back to your childhood.
Yes.
Your dad
Yeah.
got married to your mom, and he was still married to another lady
Yes.
before that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, as a family, you dealt with that or your mom dealt with that. And
So my mom is a very strong-willed woman. She will get what she wants. At that time, you can imagine, right?
Yeah.
At that time, to be a second wife of anyone, especially within a small Indian community outside of India,
Yeah.
it's a big deal. You're being talked about. You are being side-eyed. And she did it. She did it with all the confidence in the world. My father is the one who made sure he married her. I always say he committed bigamy, but he didn't because he found a way to get married in Tanzania, where bigamy is not against the law.
Okay.
You know, I always say our parents do what they can at the time with what they know how to.
Yeah.
I never held it against either of them. They followed their hearts, and I really just say that you must follow your heart. However, you shouldn't hurt anyone intentionally. But when
Well,
we're
that's it.
young, sometimes we don't see what we
Did
are.
it affect you as a child? You know, growing up with other kids
Course,
and
of
having
course.
to.
Being part of a very big family. My father was a very wealthy man. They took my mom to court. A lot of her life, as I was growing up, I remember her being in court. We lost a lot of assets. We lost a lot of money. There was a lot of cheating. There was a lot of game playing. My mom's, there was a gun pointed to my mom's head several times by relatives. Yeah, we could do a Bollywood film.
Yes, we could. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Then when you talk about her being strong-willed, she is.
She is tough.
She is
Yeah.
pretty tough, which is amazing to talk about, you know, to be like that. I think it's sort of when I look at your mom and how much she quite literally lived with her heart on her sleeve.
Yeah.
And she loved.
Yeah.
And that's what you are.
Abs-
You loved.
well,
and everybody,
yeah.
and everybody talked about, oh, Pinky,
Yeah.
yeah, your man,
Yeah.
he's younger, like 3 years. And it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, guys, it's just 3 years, guys. It's just three.
Only 3 years. Like now he teases me. He's like, you're part of the elderly now. You have to be careful, especially with what's happening. He's like, can I get you a meal? I'm like, please. But if you don't take it too seriously, age is nothing but a number.
True.
And I've been brought up by my mother,
Yeah.
who really didn't care what society had to say, because she says society will never be there for you.
Yeah.
So if you worry about what he says, she says, and you stop yourself from living your life, then who are you doing injustice to? Only yourself. And I fell in love with this man, and he fell in love with me. So what if it's only 3 years.
Yeah. It is beautiful.
I'm a cougar.
Guys, I didn't say it. She did. She did.
And I own it.
Yes.
I own it. I
she
don't
did.
mind.
Yeah. And your mom got into an accident. She lives with a stroke.
Yes.
And she can't speak to you. And it wasn't like that from the beginning. So that means you also had to learn, and she had to learn to show love
Yeah.
without words, to communicate as a man to the
Yes.
child
Yeah.
without love. So you've dealt with that and loss as well.
Oh, wow, yeah. There's been a lot of trauma in my life. And I really feel that if you go internal, you know, like there is this meme at the moment, if you can't go outside, go inside. You go inside, you find your healing within, and you try and understand reasons for your journey. Because it's not only me who's suffered in this life. I'm not the only victim in humanity. You know, there are a lot of injustices that happen to various people at different times of their lives. And I feel that we need to really take responsibility for whatever happens in our lives. It is my journey to go through what I've gone through. Lost a father at 6, lost a brother at 17, had miscarriages, had, you know, several traumas, being bullied in school. And then watching my mom have a stroke and understanding what that is, because I'm mourning someone who is alive.
Yeah.
Because that stroke, you know, stole a huge chunk of her. And I have to deal with it, because if I just went under the covers and hid away from the world and the reality of what is,
Yeah.
then who would I be?
I would love to meet her someday.
You need to meet
I
her.
need to meet her. I really do.
Yeah.
Going back, you've been very vocal lately, last year, and also this year. You've been talking about how you've had a couple of miscarriages, and how they made you stronger. And
Yeah.
at some point, it happened when you are at the peak of your career. You just got a new job. You'd shifted, I think, from radio,
Yes.
getting into the drum.
Yes.
And then that's when it happened. You're like, God, I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
this space.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable in this space. Then why this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was difficult. It was difficult. A miscarriage is hard. It's emotionally tough, and I don't know why we've always downplayed it. Because at the end of the day, it's a loss of a child.
Yes.
A child you're looking forward to, a child that you're carrying.
Most people don't think or look at it as a child. They're just like,
It wasn't developed. It wasn't as, you know.
But it is a child.
But it is a child, you know, and there is an immediate connection. You know, for those of us who have been through it, we absolutely know this feeling that you're bound to this little being, no matter how small they are or how in their development where they are. And then losing that, it just takes a huge chunk of you, right?
Yeah,
you
it
just,
does.
and unfortunately, at the time that I was going through these miscarriages, therapy was not something that was on top of my mind. Now we're talking about it. Now we're like, have you gone to therapy? Have you seen someone? Have you talked about it? And I'm glad for that progression. But at that time, I had to deal with it very much on my own.
What did you do?
And then deal with stupid comments. Like, oh, it's her age. Or, oh, it's because she exercises too much. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of just...
There are groups. I attended one sort of like a self-help group of women who'd gone through miscarriage, and one of them was just saying how it's difficult to even ask an employer to give you maternity leave, but you carry it to full term. And even if it wasn't full term, you lost the baby. You need time to just get through with that.
I mean, because don't forget, your body has already gone through the changes. The hormones are all over the place. You have mentally been preparing. You are ready. You know, you've chosen names even, you know, and then suddenly it's snatched away from you and you're just like, what? Wait, what? You know, in the same regard, like what we're going through as a nation, where our freedom per se has been taken away from us, where we could just go wherever and, you know, hug each other, and now there's a curfew, and now you have to stay, you know, 6 feet apart from each other. You are in grief. You are mourning something because you've lost it, but we can't identify.
It's not tangible.
Yes.
Coming from a background where the society was looking at this family funny, it's like, look at that one, and this kid, and then you had this confidence in you to even enlist and be a model and go all the way to the top and become Miss India Kenya, which was beautiful. That was 2000?
Yeah, 20 years ago. Can you imagine? 20,
And you're still our beauty.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
How was that experience for you? And, you know, getting into that was something that you started doing when you were a kid.
So modeling, again.
Because you still are.
yeah, I still, wherever I get a chance to, if I'm asked to, I will. It brings me life, modeling. I think, again, my mom was a big influence. She was one of the few models in her time. She was the only Asian model, I think, who modeled at State House on Independence Day. Yeah. And, you know, that was a big, because I saw the photos as I was growing up. So I was like, I want to be a model, I want to be a model. And then there was a modeling school that opened, so I joined that. And again, I think I was the only Asian face at that time. So I got a lot of opportunities to be on the runway, to be on the catwalk. And, you know, doing Miss India Kenya was, again, just something that I thought, oh my God, this is a great opportunity. And I went for it. And I loved the experience because I worked very closely with Miss Kenya.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of things within our borders. And we were very lucky enough to be called all over the country and be hosted by so many people. Just opened my eyes to so much.
So just,
Yeah.
she's open. Just come get it if you'd like some lessons on how to just trust that catwalk and look good while at it even years later. Okay, cool. So that transitioned you into getting into media, you got into capital, and you've become quite a speaker.
Yeah.
You've done TEDx, you've been on Dadasphere, and you've currently, I think you started What Women Want
Yes.
at the Junction.
It was first at Westgate, now it's at Roslyn Riviera.
Westgate.
Yeah.
Westgate, that's the one.
Yeah,
Westgate,
yeah.
the open market. What was it called?
Pop-up market.
Pop-up market.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the quarantine thing. Definitely is.
Taking something away
Yes, it
from
is.
here.
Yes, it is. So maybe you can tell us more about that, because it could have easily, because you have connections on TV. First of all, before we go there,
Yeah.
maybe you can just tell us a bit more about What Women Want and what inspired the beginning of that.
So for me, like you said, I'm a speaker.
Yes,
I
you are.
really enjoy speaking opportunities because I just feel that there are a lot of things that I've gone through that I'm able to share and talk about. Like I said, I am an open book and there's nothing I will hide. But then I realized that women in this country especially need to be empowered more. And the way they'll get empowered is through knowledge. And there's so much available to us in this country. There's so much. But I feel like, you know, we're shying away from opportunities just because we don't have that last little bit of information.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, this idea was born, because I was like, what if I held, you know, Westgate came to me and they're like, can you do like a talk at the mall? And I thought, no, let's up it. Let's do a panel discussion. Let's make it of topics that, you know, it's not only what, in the sense, you know, this whole typical thing of fashion and beauty. And that's it.
Yeah, something more.
Let's go deeper.
Yes.
And let's really talk about what we talk about when we're together as girlfriends, because we talk about everything.
That's true.
So no holds barred. We'll talk about, you know, being financially independent. We'll talk about sex. We'll talk about going through miscarriages.
Yeah.
We'll talk about diseases, everything, so that when you walk away from this session, you have information at your fingertips, so you are able now to go and empower your circle and empower, you know, use that information to better your life. And that was the whole idea. And when we moved it to Roslyn Riviera, she was like, we've got to start charging. I said, no. The whole idea of this forum is to give people knowledge for free.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's no sort of revenue that we're making from it. It's just using my platform, my network, and giving back, if you will.
Let's talk about Luku Luku. And I know
Okay.
you're very passionate about this, you know,
Yes.
having this conversation and creating awareness about the increase and the influx of refugees and even their state of being
Yeah.
in this country.
If you and I were to run away right now, do you have your passport?
No.
Do you have any of your degrees?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have your phone charger?
No.
No. So when you cross a border, you are now a refugee. So everything you have in front of a television camera, your family are somewhere else, displaced, far away from you, you are now just a refugee. But you're not. And this was my thing was that we must maintain dignity of every human being, because that's what we are. We have to be able to give every human being, no matter what background you come from, respect. And that's why I got involved. That was my biggest passion. Children and women, again, that whole empowerment of women.
Yeah.
Children, education. When you educate a child, you empower them. Then they see the world as their oyster. So no matter what our consequences are, and if you look at us right now, we're not allowed to travel.
No.
Our
I
borders
couldn't
are
hug you, Pinky.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you couldn't even help me put on my shoes.
That's it.
It's like, can I?
No,
I
we
can't.
can't touch each other.
I can't.
You know, and our
Yeah.
children are not being given access to education. They are in a sense, but if you look at it, you and I are refugees
Right now.
right now. So how does that feel? How does it
Not
make us
good.
feel that we cannot move around freely?
Suffocating,
And
cabin fever,
yeah.
and all of that.
So can you imagine when you're thrown into a camp and you're told these are your borders and that's it, and we'll give you food at this time and we'll do this for you at this time and this. What does that take away from you as a human being? A lot.
So what can we do? Like, for everybody who's watching this show today and they're wondering how they can be part of this journey, how can we do that?
Well, you can log on to the website, unhcr.org, and look for the Luku Luku page. It tells you how to contribute via M-Pesa and how you can get involved and support a refugee.
Beautiful. So I'm going to take you through your different stages in life.
Please do.
And we'll be giving pointers, maybe a challenge and something that you learned, something that you could pass on to somebody.
Okay.
Starting from a young Pinky, with the family situation and the loss that you had to go through, what is the one thing that you had to deal with at that point, or some of the things that you learned at that point of your life?
I learned at a very young age, being out in nature is extremely healing. Yeah. I
Wow,
love
how
that,
so?
Because I used to go out after my father died, and a lot of my older relatives continue to remind me about this. I used to go and talk to plants and flowers, and yeah, and that is how I healed through that trauma. Yeah.
Very young age, you have to deal with the public. You are a public figure. You're now in radio. You're Miss India, Kenya. How do you deal with that for anybody out there who's struggling with that right now and they're young? You see the way we watch like maybe a show that has kids, and from a very tiny age to when they're like 18 and they can't be a kid anymore on the show,
Yeah.
they're already exposed to the limelight. They're
Right.
already celebrities.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I really think you have to be able to accept where you are in your life. You can't be that youngster, that famous youngster that you once were.
Yeah.
Be open and honest with yourself so that you allow yourself to shape and shift into what is called upon you. Yeah.
Beautiful. You're very adventurous, I'd
Am
say.
I? Oh.
I think.
Okay.
Who leaves? How do you leave your country to follow a man? And you're like, you know what? Me, I'm in love, guys, and this is it. Me, I just.
So remember whose daughter I am, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, now I do.
I that one was just it was a no-brainer. I'm like, I am unhappy and miserable without this man, and everyone around me could see it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go follow.
So you go all the way there,
Yeah.
and you get yourself a job there.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
No, but then you see again when you follow your heart and you
Yeah.
don't think if you know there's that 5-second rule.
Yeah.
If you follow Mel Robbins, she has this thing where she says there's a 5-second rule that your mind will start talking you out of something within 5 seconds of
Yeah.
you thinking about it.
Yeah.
But if you shut that up and you do something like really quickly, the universe has a way of just helping you make it happen. And that's why when you look at risk takers, you're just like, how did they do that? How did they do
Yeah.
that? How did they do that? Because they don't listen to the negative. Because the mind is a very powerful thing,
Yeah.
right? And its job is to protect you.
Now that we're here, and we've already found out like some of the challenges that you had to deal with. But what are some of the lessons, love lessons in life that you'd give? Because like I started the show, I said, you are such a loving person.
Yeah.
You ooze it. You do.
Oh,
you
wow.
Do. Yeah.
That is, that's pretty powerful though. I think in my life, I say marriage is like life. You cannot opt out.
Yeah.
Because life is sometimes difficult, but you have to keep going through it, right? And this is the person you've chosen to be with. One, I think it's, especially in today's day and age, it's easy to cheat, to lie, to, have a side chick.
Yeah.
Side guy, is that what they're called? No. Chips Funga.
Chips Funga Ben 10.
Oh, Ben 10. That is an easier option, but what's harder is actually facing what's wrong with the relationship, in order for you to be able to look for that, either this side or that side. And that's what we're afraid of doing, is facing our reality, facing that this is hard right now, but are we going to go through this together, or are we parting ways? And I'm not saying don't part ways. If you're miserable in your marriage, you owe it to yourself to be happy. But how do you find your happiness? Not by playing around and cheating, by finding out who you are in order to give you, nobody's going to give you happiness but you.
It's an inside job.
It's an inside job. So, if this person that you're with is not honoring your happiness, why are you with that person?
That's true.
If they're not honoring everything you are and allowing you to be, walk away. That's what I say.
Walk away.
Walk away.
Let's shift on to motherhood.
Oh yeah, my favorite subject, love and motherhood.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Somebody said the best hood ever is motherhood. Yeah.
Again, the thing is to be very real with them, but protecting their childhood in a way that, you're not saying, okay, guys, there's this happening outside, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
But it's explaining to them the way they would understand, but also making sure that they are safe. It's not talking about it. It's making them aware of what's going on within the world and within your world as well, but not crumbling theirs while you're doing that, if that makes any sense to you.
It does make sense.
So yeah, when I see them sleep, I thank God every night when I see them, because that's when they're in their purest, right? And then I'm able to just give them love without waking them up. It's like, this is amazing. Being a mom is amazing. It's just yummy. I don't know what other word to use to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's hard as well.
Is it?
I mean, you have to teach them to be, because look, these are kids who will grow up to be adults that society have to handle.
Yeah.
So if you're not teaching them the right stuff, that's on you.
Yes,
right?
true.
So I tell my son, don't hit girls, respect a woman. But I also tell my daughter the same, don't hit boys, respect. And the first thing is, if you respect yourself, then you're able to respect everyone. And like I said, we are going to unleash them into the world as adults. We have to have done something. They have to have a good contribution into this world. Otherwise, what is the point?
Because it starts with you. It's what you feed them.
Yes.
Because they grow here. They say charity begins at home. So there will be whatever it is that you created them.
Yes.
So if you're present, I think these 2 weeks have been amazing. They're learning a lot. I saw a video that you did on YouTube. And just the caption, I'm like, wow, they will grow and they will see Mama's caption on YouTube.
What's the caption? Don't be.
We can't say it. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I was like, wow. And then she kept saying it and saying it and saying it, which the message is home.
Do me a favor, just check yourself. Don't be an asshole. I was at an event where somebody sneezed and everybody looked at him like, oh my God, how could you not? Yeah, he didn't even, sneeze in the elbow. He didn't cover his mouth, but everybody walked away. I mean, he literally was standing there alone. And I just thought, wow. And you could see he was a bit embarrassed and he walked away, but I'm like, somebody say bless you. You don't have to go and hug him.
Let me tell you something. My kids are going to grow up and swear. Let's not lie to each other. It is the language that's being used, right? They will understand how to use it when they're teenagers and older, right? It's just at this age, I need to be able to protect them. So when they're old enough to be online and understand what I'm saying,
they'll get it.
They'll get it.
They'll get it.
And they'll know why I said it.
Can't ignore that Corona is happening here. And it's never enough to just pass on nuggets of wisdom, or just reminding people how important it is to just stay at home and wash their hands. But you were very point blank on your YouTube when you talk to people about this, and I'd just like for you to share that with us.
We need to remember that the whole thing of humanity is just being nice to each other. Kindness is key. I teach this to my children as well, that if you're mean, it's not cool. And really, at this point in time, you don't know what the person next to you is going through. And fear is in the air. So it's really up to you and I to be very purposeful and intentional on how we behave with one another.
Great. Powerful. Now, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for having us.
No, thank
you.
I
would like for you, 25 years in, vlogging, you know how to sign out.
I think I do.
Please sign out the show for us. This is your camera focus.
Thank you so much for watching Icons on Switch TV. Join us again next week. I won't be here, but Mikali will be, with another iconic woman. See you then. Bye.
I do that.
Really?
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish you could high five and hang and everything, but yeah, so it'll just be to piece to camera.
I have no idea what I'm going to say.
She didn't say that earlier. Almost done.
Move it up.
Up?
It's okay.
Oh, you did. Do you have a flu?
No.
Is that Rona? Rona is that?
Has Rona arrived?
What is that? Is that Rona? No, I was told it's very dry. Yeah, he doesn't have. We're good. I went to the office today saying, I'm feeling tingly. And she was like, oh my God, take cover.